Questioner. Why should I? Maharaj, it is ignorance of yourself that makes you afraid, and also unaware that you are afraid. There's a constant undercurrent of fear. First, recognize, accept, yes, moment to moment, I am operating out of fear, out of stress. Moment to moment. It's not just when something happens. No, I'm not talking about an event. I'm saying a simple decision like, am I understanding this line or not? That doubt, that thought that arose came out of fear. There is a constant fear, constant undercurrent of stress which is triggering thoughts, feelings, perception, sensation continuously. Become aware of that. Recognize it. Oh, yes. Number one step is recognizing it. Number two, seeing that it is nothing but me, the consciousness. Either you come to the witness consciousness level and see it, or you find the gap between two arisings and go there. The moment you come to the witness, you realize it's me only. How can I harm myself? Can one hand harm the other hand? How can I harm me? No, this is all silly. How can the image of myself in the mirror harm me? It's my image. Then it becomes very clear, very clear. You have to disassociate from this body-mind person. Then only you see that the world cannot harm me. Fear releases completely. Yeah, let's move ahead. It is the ignorance of yourself that makes you afraid and also unaware that you are afraid. Don't try not to be afraid. Break down the wall of ignorance first. Clear? You cannot sit and fight with every single perception, sensation, thought and feeling. Everything has arisen out of fear. Instead of fighting that, what should you do? Recognize your true nature. Drop that ignorance. Do not consider yourself as the body-mind that is being haunted by this perception, sensation, thought and feeling fear. People are afraid to die because they do not know what is death. The Jnani has died before his death. He saw that there was nothing to be afraid of. The moment you know your real being, you are afraid of nothing. Death gives freedom and power. To be free in the world, you must die to the world. Then the universe is your own. It becomes your body, an expression and a tool. The happiness of being absolutely free is beyond description. On the other hand, he who is afraid of freedom cannot die. So what is he telling you? The moment you recognize you are the witness consciousness, there is no fear. Fear drops away. So, the moment you know your real being, you are afraid of nothing. Recognize that. Death gives freedom and power. What have you died to? Died to the world. Ask yourself this question. Have I died to the world yet? Am I done? Can I just see it as one bubble, another bubble, another bubble, another bubble, and not as the world? That death is very important. Dying of the person is very important. Means I am not Ekta. I have died to the idea of being Ekta. Died to the idea of this being a world. I-ness and mindness both has died, expired. That is the meaning of death.
Have I realized that I never lived?
Have I realized that I have never lived? Comes next. First the death happens, then you realize that, oh, I never lived. I was always this. How can I live on the screen? I never ever got up on the screen. I could never. I was always sitting in the theater. Recognize this truth. What does Ramana say? The person died. That day, the person died. The person must die. Does that mean you have to go commit suicide? Are we talking about suicide here? No. Yeah? We are not talking about suicide here. Yeah? This assumption again and again that I am the body mind person, that needs to die. That needs to die. That sentence is beautiful. Then the universe is your own. It becomes your body, an expression and a tool. What does that mean? Once I am all powerful, I can project, I can withdraw my projection. I can make what I want happen. Have you seen this? Maharaj has said this in the previous chapter. Whatever I want, that happens. I am all powerful. Once you become very strong, you can project. Yeah, you are all powerful. Universe, you can make it your tool. But now you're not interested in playing anymore. You're done with the game. That is the main thing that happens at death. So you're dying before the death of the body. That vairagya happens automatically. And that power cannot last in you unless you have vairagya. It takes a lot to carry that power of projecting what I want. Yes? To carry that power, you need immense vairagya. Then you project only help, only care, only compassion, only being there for the world, only giving, not taking back from the world. Then vairagya has fully blossomed. Then it is complete dhan, never taking the dhan, always just giving. Then it has really blossomed. That is the projection. That is how everything is my tool now. But if I get into personal raga dvesha, I will lose this power. Why? I will jump to the waking state. No? Where is money? Where is name, fame, social status in society, political status? Where does it belong? So I am only limiting myself. So what will happen to the power? It gets limited. It manifests just for the first few seconds of the waking projection, let's say. It will manifest, but it will soon lose steam. Why? Because I lost my infinite position and I compromised for a finite position. That's how Vairagya works. When you Vairagya to the finite waking state, then you have all power.
Why go back there from which I just fled?
Correct. Why go back to that prison? The happiness of being absolutely free is beyond description. On the other hand, he who is afraid of freedom cannot die. If you're afraid of this kind of freedom, you will not let this person die. Yeah, you are afraid of this freedom also. Do you sense it? You're afraid to be completely on the other side. You have fear of that which is not known. Do you recognize it? But it is you. It is actually you. This is just known temporarily, and that has been forgotten temporarily. You have the taste of that. It is you. Go to the other side. Let go of this little freedom, this little jitteriness. Because you feel that you will lose this. No, you will not lose it. You will gain multiple. You'll gain multiple. You'll be the owner of it all. You're owner of very little right now. You'll be the owner of it all. That is the happiness. I'll tell you, that is that powerful feeling. That powerful feeling is the ananda on the other side. I am not getting happiness from one object, one person, or one situation. I'm getting from all of it being me. It's a zillion times powerful. That is the happiness on the other side. So drop this shakiness that you have, this little fear of that freedom. This is also nothing but a fragment of the same undercurrent that you have in every moment to moment to moment here. You're just carrying it. The lingering fear. Drop this, you'll get to the happier side. It's easier there. It's very hard here. I find this painful now. I find a thought painful, a feeling painful. Too much work. Here it's better. No thought, no feeling, no perception, no sensation, nothing. Projection, no, okay. None of my business. Now. It's easier here. It's too much work. It's extra work here. I've become super lazy. Thought is also too much. Feeling is too much. Perception is too much. No. Consciousness takes care of its own creation. None of my business. Like that. Not my family, not my friend, not my money, not my home, not my car, nothing. Not my session, not my people, not my participants, got nothing to do with it. Ultimate freedom. You see the ultimate freedom in that? No responsibility. Not my problem. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm done with them. Are you done with your monkey business yet? You need to work and come to the other side. On the other hand, he who is afraid of freedom cannot die. So he's saying, get over this fear of freedom, fear of going to the other side. Get over this, let the person die. So questioner says, you mean that one who cannot die cannot live? Maharaj says, put it as you like. Attachment is bondage. Detachment is freedom. To crave is to slave. It's a very nice line. Questioner, does it follow that if you are saved, the world is saved? Maharaj, as a whole, the world does not need saving. Man makes mistakes and creates sorrow. When that sorrow enters the field of awareness, the consciousness of a jnani, it is set right. Such is his nature. Yeah, what does it mean? That person who had the problem, the blindness and all, they just entered his consciousness, his awareness, he sets it right. Yes, that is the nature. Helping is the nature, is the natural flow of consciousness. Assistance, seva, helping, it's the natural flow because compassion is the natural flow. No two is the natural flow. When there is no two, there is a little bit of sorrow. Removing the sorrow is the natural flow. Do you recognize this natural flow? In your purest moment, you want to really help. Do you see that? You have seva bhav. Only when you become all selfish and self-centered, then you don't want to help. Then you don't have seva bhav. Do you recognize this? Your natural first inclination is compassion. Your first inclination is always to help. So whenever there is a little bit of suffering, the first inclination is to help. Yeah, to go out and do dan. And dan in English, donation, but not charity. It's not even the right translation. Gyan dan, giving.
Giving without expectation.
Yeah, giving without expectation. Wherever help is needed, just not being able to even say no, the flow guides you and there is giving. It's not the question of money here, it's not the question. Seeing pain and being there, that's it. Somebody is not feeling good, just being there. Giving of yourself. Exactly. Yes, compassion. That is what is the dana part of it. Yeah. As a whole, the world does not need saving. Man makes mistakes and creates sorrow. When it enters the field of awareness, the consciousness of a jnani, it is set right. Such is his nature. So his nature is compassion. Question. We can observe what may be called spiritual progress. A selfish man turns religious, controls himself, refines his thoughts and feelings, takes to spiritual practice, realizes his true being. Is such progress ruled by causality or is it accidental? Maharaj says, from my point of view, everything happens by itself, quite spontaneously. But man imagines that he works for an incentive towards a goal. He has always a reward in mind and strives for it. Yes, what is he saying? Everything is a random projection, random projection, random projection. But what do you go in and do? I did this. This is because of me. This happened because of that. I am the owner of this. I am the doer. This is my experience. This is happening to me. So man jumps in later. You always have a reward in your mind and you strive for it. So questioner says, a crude, unevolved man will not work without a reward. Is it not right to offer him incentives? Maharaj says he will create for himself incentives anyhow. He does not know that to grow is in the nature of consciousness. He will progress from motive to motive and will chase gurus for the fulfillment of his desires. When by the laws of his being he finds a way, the way of return, nivritti, he abandons all motives for his interest in the world. His interest in the world is over. He wants nothing, neither from others nor from himself. He dies to all and becomes the all. To want nothing and to do nothing, that is true creation. To watch the universe emerging and subsiding in one's heart is a wonder. It emerges and disappears, emerges and disappears, emerges and disappears. Just being in that wonder, just being in that wonder is sufficient. Then all this running after incentive, wanting a reward, craving for this, all these petty things drop off. Then you don't go running behind a guru because you want something. You're craving for something and then you don't attribute because you did this, then this happened. Cause, effect, all these stories drop away. You're simply wondering at every arising that arises and disappears, arises and disappears. Now you are with the truth. All that was illusion, illusion. All that is thrown away. Like Maharaj says, discard it. All the illusion is gone. So you become very clear. Are you doing this with a motive? Is there a motive? I need this, I want to get to this. If you have that little thing also, I want to get enlightened. Do you see what are you doing to yourself? You are hanging the carrot in front of you and it's so far away you cannot catch it and you are running. You are doing this to yourself. Can you get to enlightenment? Is it something to be achieved, attained? You already are. You have closed your eyes. Stop being an ostrich, that's it. There is no carrot to run behind. No motive that I need to really have. Simply go with the flow. The moment you surrender and see, oh, the flow is automatically moving, then all these motives, reward, punishment, this whole drama will drop away. That is what he's saying here. Stop chasing after gurus and organizations and things with a motive to get somewhere. You are hanging the carrot in front of you and you're running. Self-hypnotism. You have hypnotized yourself that there is this beautiful world there that belongs to me, that I am the doer here, I am the experiencer here. You've created a very beautiful mirage and you're sitting in the middle of it. Self-hypnotism. Get out of it. Get out of it. If you're doing spirituality with a motive, right here, drop that motive and just see it's the flow. I didn't have an option. I didn't have a choice whether to come to the retreat or not come to the retreat. The motive in my mind is an idea, is a story I've created. Erase it. Erase the board. Erase the whiteboard and just see the whiteness. Then you will see the flow. You didn't have an option. Clear? You didn't make a decision. There was no choice. So it is the flow. The flow comes from an embedded impression, but it is out of my control. I am not the owner, I am not the doer, I am not the experiencer even. I am not the decision maker, I am not the thinker. I could not have made this decision to come or even to not come. That is also not in my hands. Nothing is, nothing ever was, nothing ever will be. So surrender to the flow. Just surrender. Drop this control freak nature of yours. Wanting to control. You cannot control anything. And it's so much freedom once you realize this. Oh, I've got nothing to do with it. Not my problem. It's so easy. Just relinquish control. Let it go. And when by the laws of his being, he finds the way of return. When you relinquish control, you turn within. That is called nivrit. The way of return. The way of going outwards towards the world was pravritti. The way of return is nivritti, turning back inwards. Then you start abandoning all these motives, all this interest in the world is over. Then you want nothing from it. And you don't want anything at all, not for others, not for yourself. This is important because you don't see the others as others, you don't see this as myself. Is that clear? So you don't want anything for this and you don't want anything for this. That is very important. There's no more want basically. He dies to all and becomes the all. To want nothing and to do nothing. That is true creation. If you want to really aim for something, aim for this, the highest. To want nothing and to do nothing. To watch the universe emerging and subsiding in one's heart is a wonder. Yeah. That is the universe. There is nothing else. Then the questioner says, the great obstacle to inner effort is boredom. The disciple gets bored. Did you notice that? You were getting bored? Yes, especially in Samadhi. Maharaj says, inertia and restlessness, tamas and rajas, work together and keep clarity and harmony, sattva. Yeah, they maintain clarity and harmony. Tamas and rajas must be conquered before sattva can appear. It will all come in due course and it will happen quite spontaneously. You just recognize, okay, this is my flow, there is boredom, there is laziness, there is inertia. So there is tamas right now. Sometime there was rajas, yeah, and then again rajas will come. You learn to balance these. When you went to the witness consciousness, was there any rajas? Was there any tamas? Where is rajas and tamas? At the body-mind level. How do you regulate it? At the witness consciousness level. There is no other level. In Buddha's language, at the pure vijnana level. Yeah? That's how you can regulate rajas and tamas. Till the body is there, the body does not drop. Till that time, Rajas and tamas is not going anywhere. Even the enlightened one has to sleep. That is tamas. Even the enlightened one has to get up and do activity. He has to clean, cook, eat, walk in the jungle, give his discourses. Every activity is rajas. So you cannot get rid of it till the body moves on. Till the body is there, there will be rajas and tamas cycle. Rajas and tamas is only at the body level. The moment I come to the witness, I am at sattva. Automatic regulation of the rajas and tamas at the body mind level happen when you are at sattva. Inertia and restlessness. Rajas and tamas work together and keep clarity and harmony. Sattva. Tamas and rajas must be conquered before sattva can appear. It will all come in due course and it will happen quite spontaneously. You just stay as the witness. It will start happening very spontaneously. Yeah. So the sattva will be automatic and continuous. This will happen only by staying as the witness. Stay. Don't slip down to the body mind. You've seen a balance, no? A real balance. A balance goes up and down. And keeping it balanced at the same level is sattva. One goes up, you're too active. Do you see that? Mind is so active, body is so active, you just can't sit in one place. That whole energy, there is an imbalance. Yeah, when it's the other way down, you're like dull. You cannot do anything. You cannot work. That is again an imbalance, tamas. The perfect balance of both is sattva. Is that clear? That is the meaning of it. It will all come in due course, quite spontaneously. Questioner, is there no need of effort then? Maharaj says, when effort is needed, effort will appear. Do you see this? Please highlight. Are you doing it? No, it is the flow. The flow that is making the body, mind, person do that effort of, come on, sit in samadhi. Okay, get up, do 5 perception work. Again, come on, sit in samadhi. This whole effort that is happening is a part of the flow, command of the flow. You are not doing anything. Did you realize that? You are not the doer. You are not the meditator. Everything is happening per the flow. Yeah? Ekta giving that particular little samadhi tidbit, some little trick that you were going to apply, that was given, automatically the trick got applied, automatically everything silenced down. It was not in your hands. It is not even in Ekta's hands. It's simply a flow. Recognize it. It is automatically happening. There is no doer here. Neither are you the doer nor is Ekta the doer. There is no doer and there is no experiencer also. It's simply an automatic flow. When you start respecting the flow, honoring it, surrendering to it, then the magic happens where there is none of it is mine. There is no ownership, no doership, complete freedom. That supreme happiness. When effort is needed, effort will appear. When effortlessness becomes essential, it will assert itself. You need not push life about. Please highlight, you need not push life about. Yeah, whenever you said, oh, today too, I've got up early, I'm before everybody, I will go and sit in the hall. Yes, I'm going to have a great samadhi experience. I will not go for breakfast. What happened that day? Everything down. The big doership, no? The flow is then teaching you a lesson. What doership? Yeah, and the day you didn't expect anything, you were like, hey, middle of the day, nothing is going to happen. I have to just go sit because it's part of the schedule. You came and sat and poof, magic happened. Samadhi is a happening. Samadhi is not a doing. Do you understand this? So no rules, no rules. You cannot say, oh, every day I am going to practice Samadhi from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. It's not going to happen. No. Just surrender to the flow. Allow the flow to dictate what it wants, and I just relinquish control there. Okay, right now the flow says it's time to close the eyes. I just shut up and close my eyes. And you see how you understand what is the flow. Then open-eyed samadhi will happen. From closed-eyed to open-eyed, there's one step of relinquishing control, surrendering to the flow. Only one step. So you need not push life about. Just flow with it and give yourself completely to the task of the present moment, which is the dying now to the now. Dying now to the now. For living is dying. Without death, life cannot be. You die now to the now. Means what? This body mind, continuously letting it go. Dying now to the now. Whatever the now arising is, that is the truth. This now is the truth. This now is the truth. Dying now to the now. Yeah. Die to the now. Die. Get hold of the main thing, that the world and the self are one and perfect. Only your attitude is faulty, and that needs readjustment. The world is perfect, and it is the self, it is the consciousness itself, and it's perfect. What is wrong? My perspective, my attitude, that is faulty. That needs readjustment. My attitude is of, I am the body. That needs readjustment. This process or readjustment is what you call sadhana. You come to it by putting an end to indolence and using all your energy to clear the way for clarity and charity. But in reality, these all are signs of inevitable growth. Don't be afraid. Don't resist. Don't delay. Be what you are. There is nothing to be afraid of. Trust and try. Experiment honestly. Give your real being a chance to shape your life. You will not regret. Number 1, don't be afraid. Number 2, don't resist. Number 3, don't delay. Number 4, be what you are. Number 5, there is nothing to be afraid of. Trust and try. Number 6, experiment honestly. And number 7, give your real being a chance to shape your life. You will not regret. Take these as instructions. Hold on to them. This is it. This is the truth. That is my sadhana. That death which the world is fearful of, I'm craving for it. I want that death. That is the death to really want, to crave for. So be with this tonight. Be with this. Can I let this person die? Die before death. Die to the now. Die to the now. Yeah, beautiful chapter, no?